everybody, Dan Illman here with the DRF race of the day for Sunday, March the 31st. It's race number 6 at Gulfstream Park, the first leg of the 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6, a mandatory payout at Gulfstream Park on Sunday, featuring potentially a very huge pool if nobody hits the Rainbow Pick 6 going into Sunday's card. Let's throw up the field for this competitive high-level allowance. It's stakes class to be sure, going a mile and a 16th on the turf, 62,500 claiming option. There are some stakes-level horses in this race, including Far Bridge, who won the Grade 1 Belmont Derby last year, but is returning off a lengthy layoff at a distance that might be a little bit shorter than his best. You also have a horse in Lucky Score, who's going to be stretching out in distance. Perhaps a mile and a 16th is a little bit too far for Lucky Score. Really, those are the two main protagonists in this race from a class standpoint. Bettors have to decide if they want to take relatively short prices, considering some of the questions that they have to face. We'll throw up our Timeform US pace projector, and Timeform US doesn't believe there's a ton of speed in this field. I do agree that the number 9 Napoleonic War has the tactical speed to overcome a tough outside post position and gain good early position. The 1 Dreams of Tomorrow is a tactical sort, and Joel Rosario might be able to work out a pace tracking ground saving trip. Maybe Safe Conduct, the number 2, is going to be a pace presence. After all, this horse wired them in the Queen's Plate back in 2021 and used to have some potent early speed. Maybe he'll try to get up close to the pace. Novo Sol has shown that he can stay close if the pace is relatively slow. We'll begin things with the number 1 Dreams of Tomorrow, and I think this horse is a little bit dirtied up for trainer Shug McGahee. He's been campaigning recently on the synthetic surface and facing some good horses at that. The runner-up from his most recent race came back to win a synthetic event with a 98 Beyer speed figure. Dreams of Tomorrow, in my opinion, is much better on this surface. He's much better on turf, and he's going to get his first opportunity to run on this surface since a race at Aqueduct 3 starts back where he ran to a very sharp horse in main event. He was third that day, utilizing good tactical speed, and I think a good trip is coming from the inside post. Safe Conduct won the Queen's Plate in 2021. Of course, that race is on synthetic, but this guy is also proven commodity on turf. His most recent race at Gulfstream was a $50,000 claimer. His first start off of a short layoff, and he just didn't show his usual speed, and that cost him because he was wired that day. I wonder where he is from a form standpoint. Does he still have that early gas at the age of 6? If he does, Tyler Gaffalione can have Safe Conduct on or near the lead, and if he can summon up some of that back class, he'll be interesting at somewhat of a price. Lucky Score, the number 3, was a very consistent campaigner at Woodbine in 2023. He was third in the Woodbine Mile. He rallied from way out of it, going 3/4 of a mile in the Arctic to just miss down on the inside. His last 2 starts, he really had no chance. In the Breeders' Cup Mile, he was likely overmatched anyway, but he was also over and behind horses in the stretch, had to be checked a couple of times, and never really got a chance to show what he could do. And last time out, in the Joe Hernandez going a straightaway 6.5 at Santa Anita, he caught an absolutely paceless race where 2 quality horses ran 1-2 around the track. Dancing Buck, the runner-up, would come back to run second in the Grade 3 San Simeon with a Beyer speed figure in the mid-90s. Lucky Score, when he's sprinting, when he's going 1 turn, seems like he's a horse that needs a little bit of pace help. And on the face of it, this Timeform US pace projector could work against him. Maybe stretching out, he can be just a little bit closer to the pace. He's had excuses in his last 2, and he's been a consistent campaigner. Far Bridge is your Grade 1 stakes winner, and just consider he began his career with Christophe Clement at Gulfstream, going a mile and a 16th, and he won both of those races. Transferred to the Pletcher Barn, he seemed to improve as the distances increased. Here's his most recent race, the Dueling Grounds Derby, going a mile and 5/16. This is all the way back in early September, and he's over in behind horses turning into that long straight, and he's going to grind it out to finish second as an odds-on favorite. He didn't get a ton of pace to attack in that race, and if you look back at his mile and a 16th races at Gulfstream for Clement to kick off his career, he came from far back in those races. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets the right race flow and pace dynamic that he might need, especially off a little bit of a layoff. California Frolic is the number 5, and they experimented with this horse last time out, stretching him all the way out in distance in the mile and a half WL McKnight, and he was close to a surprisingly fast pace for that distance before understandably tiring against much tougher competition. competition. He was listed as a vet scratch on February the 17th, and it's taken him a month and a half to get back into the entries. From a class and distance standpoint, this is much better for him than the McKnight. I do think he needs to step up his game a little bit. He hasn't gotten back to that form that he showed in 2022 and into 2023. Dancing in Denial is the number 6, and last time out was at Woodbine in November, so this horse is also going to have to overcome a little bit of a layoff. That race was on a synthetic surface, and he sat behind a fast pace, got the right flow, got to the outside, and mustered up an even finish. The third place horse has come back to hit the board in his next 3 starts, including a win at this level on turf with a 94 Beyer speed figure at Gulfstream Park. I wonder if Dancing in Denial is using this race as perhaps a prep for the upcoming Woodbine season. The 7 is One Night Standards, a horse that hasn't been out since Saratoga, where he ran in a second-level allowance race, but it wasn't your ordinary second-level allowance race. The winner of that heat came back to be a well-beaten third in the Grade 1 Sword Dancer with a 93 Beyer, and then won the Bernard Baruch Stakes with a 100 Beyer, so One Night Standards caught a tough group in that field. His prior races were on synthetic. I think One Night Standards likes turf. He's going to have to deal with a significant layoff and a tough field, but I think he's somewhat pace adaptable and could be fresh off of the layoff. Novo Soul is the number 8, and this horse is in very good form. We're going to watch his most recent start. A $50,000 beaten claimer at Gulfstream going a mile on the turf. There was no pace in this race. They went 24-2 for the opening quarter in a 1-mile turf race, and Novo Soul wisely was right up close. He makes the lead. He guts it out. The Beyer speed figure of 83 is a little bit light. He does have some back class. He's running some quality races in the past. He is in good form. He does have tactical speed. He is facing a much tougher field than last time. The 9 is Napoleonic War, and this horse is now with Jack Sisterson after starting his career for trainer Chad Brown, where he earned a graded stakes placing. 2 starts back at Tampa Bay, he ran in a second-level allowance, and he showed good tactical speed. He sat in third, made a 3-wide bid turning into the stretch, and grinded it out going a mile and an eighth over a horse that would come back to win at Tampa, a second-level allowance with an 89 Beyer. They tried him in the Canadian turf last time out. He pulled pretty hard on the club close to the pace, and he tired. He's dropping slightly in class, not much, because again, this is sort of a graded stakes quality field, but he does have tactical speed, and he's getting Lasix once again. He, of course, didn't have that in the Canadian turf. Before we get to our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Kentucky Derby right around the corner. All the preps coming up next week. The big 100-point ones. Wood Memorial, Santa Anita Derby, as well as the Bluegrass. I'm going to go with the 9, Napoleonic War. I think he's just going to offer a little bit of value. I like his tactical speed. I like he's getting Lasix again. He has the recency advantage over several of these horses. I do think that Lucky Score and Farbridge are the best horses in this race. The horse is more likely to make noise down the road in the middle distance division. But I think for this spot, Napoleonic War might offer some value, and he's likely going to get the jump on those horses turning into the stretch. So he's my pick in the opening leg of the 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6 at Gulfstream on Sunday. Remember, it's a mandatory payout on Sunday at Gulfstream Park. Good luck.